So I just finished my third week on the carnivore diet, and I'm going to tell you how it went. The short of it is, I don't plan on stopping at this point. Um, Now, on the right side of the screen, you can see my previous progress. Along with sticking to the carnivore diet, there are a total of 6 rules that I follow to help me make progress. Not just on dietary things, but also just overall physical wellness and fitness. Because my goal is more than just to lose weight; it is to become stronger and better, a better me, essentially. Um, Unfortunately, of those 6 goals, I did have one day where I missed 2 of them. That was this past Saturday. I am a 49ers fan, and I don't know. I slept in that day and was just in football mode, and I didn't feel like doing my morning row, and I didn't go to the gym later in the evening. So I did have one day where I missed 2 goals. But hey, that type of stuff's gonna happen, right? Um, a nice thing is that I do feel like I'm on the other side of the keto flu. Now, is it because I got more aggressive with my electrolytes? Maybe. Could it be just that I'm getting better? My adaptation is progressing? Possibly. Um, Probably a factor of both, I would say. I think definitely the electrolytes helped me during that time, upping my salt and using the liquid IV. But yeah, I'm not sure, but I'm feeling better today than I did last Monday. That's for sure. I did have one day though. One day last week, I had a checkup with a sleep doctor. I use a CPAP at night and had my regular checkup with them. And when they took my blood pressure, it was higher than normal. It was 155/87, which I'm normally, again, if you're familiar with this, I'm like usually 130/80 plus or minus 5 on either one of those numbers. And so I saw that and I was kind of alarmed because I'm like, man, I've really been upping my salt, and it's common advice that if you have high blood pressure, you should reduce your salt intake. So I'm sitting there going, man, is this thing messing me up? But then I started thinking about it. I was like, you know what? About an hour and a half ago is when I finished up my rowing exercise in the morning. Maybe there's an effect that when you work out, do intense cardio, your blood pressure spikes. And sure enough, I did a quick Google search. That happens to be the case. Now, typically, it only lasts about 30 minutes, but I said it could last for a few hours. As a precaution, I was able to work from home the rest of the day, and I have a at-home blood pressuring device. And over the next hour or two, it did come back down to a normal range. But it also got me thinking during that time. I was like, why is that the case that high salt would lead to higher blood pressure? And I wonder when those studies occurred, was it, when they're looking at just the surveys and the information, like, oh, hey, these people had high salt, they also have high blood pressure. Did they look at the diet? Did they look at what these people are eating? Were they eating highly processed, overly salted foods? Were they eating things that were fried and these seed oils that we know aren't ideal for us? So maybe that's the incidence, that the people who are actually had an increase in salinity, I guess, or just salt content in their blood samples or whatever they're getting their measurements from, was it just for the fact that these people also just had poor diets? I don't know. I think it'd be. I don't know exactly where those numbers come from, but I think that's part of it. And I think a lot of you have you watched Ken Berry or Sean Baker, these other these medical doctors talk about the carnivore diet or keto diets in general. There tends to be decades of misinformation out there that we've been told, and go. Don't take my word for it. I'm not a biochemist or somebody who studies human physiology, so I'm not one to test, but that was just a thought that I had about it. And so another thing that was kind of weird this week, that was new, was the fact that when I was cleaning my teeth, I have 2 teeth right in the middle that tends to be a place where I'll get plaque buildup. But as I was cleaning that, I realized the ones next to it, I was like, man, those ones never have plaque on them. But they had some plaque, and I was like, that's weird. it stood out to me, and like not even like a very very small amount. And I was like, man, that's it appears like if I wasn't thoroughly scrubbing them, but I was like, man, I use I use a Sonic toothbrush that has a water pick built inside of it. So as I'm brushing, I'm also doing the water pick, and I was like, it's usually the one area that like even the dental hygienist says that I have a problem with is like right in the middle, and it's just kind of there's two teeth that just kind of overlap a little bit, and started looking into it, and I've watched a lot of carnivore videos, a lot of keto videos, and I hadn't heard anybody talk about increased tartar as a potential side effect of it, but it can be. I do in the video that I'll link at the end of this, that because there's another on this channel, as you might have seen, there's my buddy Julian. He's also making videos. He's trying to bulk up using the carnivore diet. So we'll do a weekly carnivore chat with each other to kind of share some things, and on there I kind of talk about some of the reasons why you might have increased tartar. So if you're noticing that, if you're paying attention to your teeth and be like, man, why is there more tartar today? Go check that video out, and it's part of it. They said really, I'll give you the cliff notes. Part of it is that it's you're probably eating softer food, you're eating a lot of ground meats, and also it's just part of the adaptation period. So just be a little bit more diligent with your scrubbing, I guess. But overall, health-wise, I'm feeling really good. Again, getting over the keto flu, I no longer have headaches. So I think I'm on the other side of that. Bathroom-wise, things are improving, not great, but better. As far as like working out, soreness, I'm not doing any heavy lifting. So I'm not doing any like squats with weights or anything right now. It's all been free body stuff. In the first week or two, I was sore from that. But yesterday when I was at the gym, it was actually nice. The fact that I was able to do squats both on the 16-inch box, and then I got down to the 12-inch box to where when I squat, I'm actually touching my butt all the way down to it. I was able to do them unassisted. Now I can't do them unbroken yet. I got to work on my breathing pattern, and I'm really focusing on making sure I'm holding proper form while I'm doing it. So that way, when I do start incorporating weights with it, I'm not going to mess anything up. And but this is the first time in a long time I think I have that range of motion. So taking the time this first couple weeks of working on form and flexibility and mobility, and that's something I've been working on since I broke my leg injury. Anyways, I had my leg injury. It was kind of nice to see the benefit of that starting to come about, and my right calf, the muscle in it starting to grow again. So I had some positive things happen in the gym. I also started working out beyond the CrossFit gym that I was already a part of. I was like, it'd probably be nice just to have some stationary machines that are isolating just like a muscle group or two. And so I joined Planet Fitness. They had a pretty, they're pretty cheap places, $10 a month. And I was like, you know what? It's worth a try. I went there and I really enjoyed being back in a big gym again. It's less of it's less of an inviting environment than like a smaller CrossFit gym. But it was nice just to use the machines and get a really good leg workout in like 20 or 30 minutes, just doing a small little circuit there without having to set up anything or making sure I have enough room. I'm not going to interfere with other people's spaces. So I really enjoyed that. Now, this is something that you may not be aware of. If you started a New Year's resolution and you've been sticking to it, you've really been sticking to it for these 3 weeks, congratulations, because you just hit a milestone. We just hit a milestone. Studies have shown that it takes 21 days to typically make or break a habit. So if you maybe you cut out soda, or maybe you went from at least regular soda to going to diet soda, or maybe I haven't tried Poppy. Is that any good? The new brand where I think it's a little bit of sugar, but it's like 5 calories per can. Or the carnivore diet, or you're working out, you're trying to get 10,000 steps, whatever it is you've started this year. If you've been doing it for 21 days, you probably have enough forward momentum to continue doing it at this point. It'll be easier to continue doing it than if you're to be like, I'm going to stop for a week or two and then try to start up again. You have forward momentum to keep making your progress. So keep making that progress. All right. And it's even something we learn in physics. Static friction. So that's something standing still. There's we're trying to move an object that's not moving. It's easier to keep it moving once you get it. So if you're pushing a car, that initial push to get it rolling, it takes more energy to do that, more force rather, to do that. And then, but once the car starts rolling, you can actually reduce the force a little bit and keep it rolling. So now that you're rolling, you're able to let off a little bit to keep it rolling, but you don't want it to come back to a stop again, because then you're gonna increase the amount of work that you have to put in to get it rolling again. So keep on rolling, guys. So now the results for week 3. Weight loss wise, we did okay. We lost 3 pounds, which put us over the 3-week period for a total of 11. I'm really happy with that number. I've seen some videos where people are like, "Oh, I lost 100 pounds in 100 days on Carnivore," and some of those people are like, "Oh yeah, they're eating 1,200 to 1,500 calories a day." And some of them were like, I think one video I saw, the guy was near 300 pounds, so he was eating in a huge caloric deficit, and which is fine if that's what you're going for. But I want to take a more sustainable approach. So the amount I'm eating today is probably going to be, when I hit my end goal weight, the same amount. That calorically it'll be about the same. So that eating habits I'm establishing now are going to be able, or volume or calorically, are going to be the same eating habits I'll have a year, 2, 3, 5, 10 years from now. So I typically aim for about 2,500 calories, plus or minus a few hundred. I'm not too particular about it. Some days I'm a little bit above, some days below. Every now and then, right on point. But yeah, so since the fact that I'm not eating in a huge deficit, hitting 3 pounds, I'm happy with that. Blood pressure, when I measured it on Sunday, it was at 134/80. Again, I'm at, my average is like 130 plus or minus 5 over 80. So I'm still happy with that. There's no reason for me to be concerned or alarmed. The fact that it's gone up a little bit. I think the day that I told you when I measured it and it was high, eventually at the end of the day when I measured it, or a couple hours later, it's down to like 127. So it's actually below 130 number. So blood pressure, holding good. On my rowing, I think last week I told you guys that my goal was to come under 9:15 on my first 2,000 meters of the day. I was able to actually consistently do it for the whole week under 9 minutes. My personal best before my injury was 8:36 or 8:37 on a 2 kilometer row. And that's when my cardio was pretty good, but still really heavy, but pretty good at cardio. So doing at 9 minutes, typically the last 2 minutes, I really got to push the pace. Now I do it for a total of 13 minutes, and my goal this week, I actually adjusted it to make sure I was hitting at least 2.8 kilometers within the 13 minutes. In week 4, I'm going to keep the goal of getting my first 2K meters done within 9 minutes. And then I'm increasing the total workload to 14 minutes. And within the 14 minutes, I need to complete at least 3 kilometers. So that's the pace I'm setting right now. The last part, once I get the first 2 kilometers out of the way, is that last kilometer, I'm able to slow it down a little bit, continue my breathing, and have a nice little recovery. So by the end of it, I'm my heart rate's reducing, and I'm ready to go drink some water and get on with the rest of my day. So those are some of the goals that I'm tweaking moving forward. I am also going to start a more of a lifting regimen. So not just doing resistance bands and free body stuff. I am going to be doing more lifting this week. This week, still working on mostly high reps, mobility, flexibility things. So that way, as I load up on the weight, I'm not going to highly reduce my chance of an injury or anything in that regard. Still going to be using a lot of the machines at like Planet Fitness. Won't be doing a lot of free weights. Just going to be using more machines at this point. And this week's more about just knocking off the rust off these joints and limbs. And after that, and then starting next week, I think next week's when I'll really start getting after it, and then start, maybe talk to my old trainer JP and said, hey man, can you help me design a 10-week plan? We'll go from sets of 10, 8, 5, 3, and maybe work with him on that. But we'll see. So that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you so much for your support, the likes, the comments. I appreciate it all. And remember, guys, it's not that easy, but it is that simple. So keep getting after it, and I'll see you guys next week.